from PwC. We have another panelist, Mr. Shubhamoy. He is just coming in. He's in another meeting. He's on his way. He'll join. So while they join and while the audience joins, at least we can start and warm up.
So we'll start in a minute. Good to see three different sectors, one from academia, one from government, one from private sector. So the theme is corporate performance management framework, right? And how the data-driven approach is used within corporate performance management. So let me start with a couple of stories. This is based on what we have done with corporate. So performance can be measured obviously in many different ways, right? Corporates use many different types of KPIs, key performance indicators, not just how much money they make, but there are, if you look at the balance scorecard and those kind of concepts, then there are many different ways of measuring performance. But many times, obviously, the way in which the performance gets measured is through monetary term or in terms of conversions and so on, right? I'll start with two examples. One is Eureka Forbes. If you look at Eureka Forbes, their water purifier, AquaGuard, is one of the most famous water purifiers in India. And so they actually track, their sales team track their conversion rate. So typically what happens is that whenever we are interested in a product, right, we go to their website and then look at the models and audit the price, the performance, various features, and so on. So what they said that every month approximately about 8 lakh people visit their website. And out of 8 lakh, only 2,000 actually end up buying. And Eureka Forbes still use direct channel. Basically, like you have a salesperson visits the customer and does demonstration of the products and so on. And finally, the customer may say yes or no, right? So the entire effort goes waste if the customer says no, and you are talking about 2,000 out of 8 lakhs. So basically, we are talking about 1 out of 400 kind of thing, right? The question is, how do I improve my conversion rate? So I don't want to call every customer. That means you are making 8 lakh calls every month, and you know that only 2,000 are going to buy. So can you identify which customer has high propensity to buy, right? And the next example is a completely different sector. There is a company called Champo Carpets. This is based out of UP. There is a district called Badai where it's basically carpet industry, full of carpet industry. And these retailers look at the sample carpet and place order based on that. But their conversion rate was only about 20%. So out of 10 samples they sent, only 2 gets picked up. Whereas the industry average was 34%. Where do you start? If you want to develop a data-driven framework for managing, these are specific metrics of performance, where do we start? I'll come back and address how we solve this. Now I'll move on to my panel members. I would start here, this side. It's been coming from like government sector, police, which is responsible for law and order and so on. Probably I'll start with him and request him to explain how data-driven approach is used by them, because data-driven policing is becoming popular in most of the Western world, and we can learn what Indian police is doing from that sector.
I am coming from Calcutta Police. I am now looking after the VIP security segment in Calcutta. The ACR got changed into performance appraisal report. Mostly the performance appraisal was through self-appraisal of your own work and then the comment by the superiors. That went on for about 7 to 8 years before the same kind of performance measurement criteria was also applied to the DSPs. Almost all police organizations in the country, they were flooded with the CCTVs across this, mostly in the metro cities. And after Nirbhaya incident, because of the smart city project, many of the metropolitan cities, they got good funds to have CCTVs.
Something which we have seen earlier and in earlier days of consulting people were all trying to solve the problem in terms of finding some of the inefficiencies in the processes and implement some technology solutions to reduce those gaps.
If you look at the need of analytics, so need of analytics is generally divided into two parts. One part is for the enterprise, another part is when we sell something to the customers. Similarly, in a corporate like ABP, what we need to do is look at how employees are, for example. I mean, are they evolving over time? How their performance metrics are working? How is the L&D working? How is the attrition doing? So these are the different facets. Then why are we in business? Because the money comes from the advertisement. So why I'm talking about the number is because the cost of this huge cost of producing a newspaper majorly comes from the newsprint. Now this newsprint is not majorly procured from inside India, it's procured from outside India. The reason being the quality of newspaper that you see, that wear and tear that it needs to endure in the press, it requires a different quality, different GSM.
So today, a lot of mobile data is used for solving crimes, right? And I'm sure there are a lot of other technology which is helping organizations to improve the performance. This is open. Any of you can answer. So the role of technology in performance management.
So I'll start. In terms of the performance management, typically what we have seen, it depends on a volume of data, and it's the final phase of an organization. So the organization runs its entire operations. You will have data being generated from your sales function, production function, HR function. All of them have their own functional area of reporting, planning, forecasting, and but then it will come to the finance in terms of the reporting at an organization level. Now, finance as a function doesn't have a view in terms of what is happening in the shop floor or what is happening in a plant which is in a different geography, or what are the challenges that somebody would have faced in the logistics. So they all depend on the base data that comes from the core operational system or the ERP systems that you will see. As we have seen now, I think finance is also getting upgraded. Finance previously was all dependent on MS Excel downloading the trial balance from the ERP system, manipulating the data in the way that they want it to, and then present the data. So which becomes more like a presentation of the past performance, which finance realizes that probably is not the best way to establish itself as the business partner.
If you have an automated sales function, for example, there are field force applications available, then you get data from there. But if it's not there, there will remain subjectivity. So performance management depends on the level of automation that is there in the entire enterprise. That's how you can bring the data back.
Thank you. Would you like to add anything? Or?
I can give an example of the traffic system in Calcutta. Everybody has an experience of traffic problem in metropolitan cities. You know, in Calcutta, you must have observed one thing, that few roads, the traffic moves in one direction till 1 o'clock, 1 p.m., and then the direction reverses. It was based on certain experience, and of course the data analysis in those days, in mid-90s, this was decided that some of the central business district portion needs more incoming traffic in the morning, and of course those traffic needs to go outside after 1 p.m. and some of the schools also they have the closing time at that time. So the kind of traffic system which was developed in Calcutta in those times was based on certain observation and of course data. Then the signaling system also was installed during the same time almost. Before that, entire traffic management was manual. Now, how the data is changing the traffic system, you will be knowing from your experience that most of the traffic system today is automated. Now, this automation of even 1 second of the waiting time in signal is based on the data from the vehicular traffic, almost instant data. So maybe 15 minutes down the line, the waiting time will be 10 seconds, and beforehand it was 15 seconds.
You have questions, you can ask any one of us, or pointed questions, or in general, if you allow us to answer.
So you told that now you are capturing their number of working hours and many other things. So I just wanted to know that since policing is a very tough job and there are no defined hours, well, so how do you capture the number of working hours or number of the solved cases? Are you digitally capturing that, or is there a manual log which is being maintained and then it's being uploaded?
Nowadays, the data is captured basically through gadgets. There is a backpack system which is carried by some of the police personnel. They actually capture the performance of the police, how they are moving, how they are reacting to particular situation with proper date and time stamp on the video. So that is analyzed in the office after they come back. And also through CCTVs, we get to know from the headquarters how the people are moving, what is the problem happening. So the entire data which is captured through CCTV, through certain people carrying the body camera on their persona, and then the backpack system, they actually remain at the spot and transmit it's like the projection in the media house. The same kind of technology is deployed. So it is by digital mode only.
So it's often seen that not every FIRs or problems are being registered. So how can we actually use data, or what do you suggest that there should be one platform in which if some FIR is not being registered and an end customer who is in actually the pain, that he can actually, so that his voice can get heard and can also be automated or digital intervention can be there.
Under 156 clause 3, you can also approach court. So the means are very elaborately given in CRPC. Only problem is that because the person who is refused or the officer who is refusing, you do not know at a remote place as a senior officer that these things are happening. Any authority has a discretion to say no. Then there is a possibility of having a negotiation. So discretion is almost equal to negotiation.
When we are telling about like video analytics, right? So as Sad already mentioned, so there are many suspicious activities happening, right? We have a CCTV feed is there. So is there any way we are analysis like real-time event, okay, there are some suspicious activities is happening and we have to inform the police? That is the one thing. And second thing is like sometimes we wanted to find some criminal, right? Or there are some missing persons are there. So is there any way we can search the person's face from the video feed and we can find where the person is? That is the questions on the video analytics. And in another section, yeah.
We have face recognition techniques for certain areas where we suspect that something is going to happen. And we have got previous input of something happening. For example, some sort of intelligence telling us that certain things are going to happen, and we have to be vigilant about that. There we deploy video analytics. For example, we have the details of the suspect, and of course in a crowd, if we want to find him, mostly in big gatherings and in certain government functions, we do have the capability to find out the suspect based on his visible particulars. We do have. Today we have our capabilities.
Right, so you can always dodge the cameras. You wear a cap, and if you look at most of the ATM thefts that happen, you know the person is stealing, but then they covered the cap, so you can't. So you had helmet or whatever, right? So you have to have recognizing the body language of a person, right? Not just the facial recognition. You can actually create alerts, right? Alert systems so that you can actually predict crime and prevent crime. So in fact, there are cases where when thieves went to steal a place, the police were waiting there, right? So it has developed that much. But then I don't know whether we have the technology, we have the capability, because all these also requires a lot of money. Deploying this solution is not easy, right? So it requires a lot of money, whether we have so much resource to deploy those kind of solutions. I'm not sure.
About 20 years back, and I had actually, was processing my passport, between Calcutta and Bangalore. So what you mentioned, I had to actually pay a convenience fee there at the police station for verification. That was 20 years back. But then now, you talked about using data in the context of Kolkata and the passport, why people are, how they're getting it and not getting it. So as a data science professional, I'm, very happy that, we are looking into that data and taking the, respective actions as we should, right, using technology and the data which is available. And as a citizen, I'm happy to say that, when about a couple of months back, when my son was actually getting his passport done, so he was one of those, data points of 87% that you mentioned, where he got it, without anything, and it was processed very, very well. So I think as a citizen, in Kolkata, because I don't know, I think a lot of times we feel that, a lot of things are not happening well in our city or, in our state. So that's the reason I thought I'll share the good side of using technology in our city as well, and how, as a citizen, we are happy, and one of the, 87% data points. Thank you.
Actually, passport processing in general has improved a lot in our country, right? I mean, much better than many of the developed countries, given that we have almost 1.4 billion people, right? In many developed countries, it may take much longer time. And Tatkal comes within 24 hours in most cities, right? So there's a lot of improvement has happened from that perspective. Any other question? Yeah.
My name is Gaurav Sugan. I've recently done my MBA, and my question is mainly for Jaydeep Sarkar, but it's open for all. As he said, he's more into finance. So during my internship, summer internship, I was given a task of reconciling the financial statement of our company. So the main source of getting a data was three types. So I got the data from our company's merchant account, I got the data from our Urban Piper, and I also get the data from our outlets, like different kind of outlets. So the problem here went like, even though we are digitizing our data in order for our convenience, but still there were some discrepancies, small errors, and small amount of money was like missing. Because of that, I was not able to reconcile. So I had to visit an outlet and get a raw data from there and ask our Urban Piper, like our officials, to get that outlet's data for a particular period of time. Then I was able to find where was this error going on. So is there what are steps we should take into consideration in order to make the process more efficiently for our convenience?
Or even if it's updated, there is a breakage between the link of these two solutions. What we have seen now, there are more and more AI-based predictive solutions coming into picture. They are trying to identify those gaps which can come up, depending upon the patterns. In the past session, Sudipta was talking about anomaly detection. So anomaly detection is becoming more and more relevant, and it's also adding not only from a fraudulent perspective, but also from the period close perspective. So somebody wants to reconcile payouts and pains between two organizations in the same group. They want to reconcile the number before presenting their final trial balance. They are using those types of solutions as well. It's a common problem, but the solutions are coming into picture.
Thank you very much.